Roll call.
Yes, thank you.
I'll start with Mr. Travis.
Here.
Ms. Ross.
Here.
Mr. Pax.
Here.
Ms. Neff.
Here.
And Mr. Totsky.
Here. Now, anyone who intends to testify, please raise your right hand and be sworn. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, state, I do. I do. And then when you come up to offer testimony, state your full name, address, and affirm that you've been sworn in. Thank you. Eric?
All right, good evening, members of the Board of Zoning Appeals. We have a full board tonight, and we have one item of business. It's a new item on the agenda. I'm sure you've had a chance to review, but we have a staff report prepared for everybody to familiarize with the case and provide details on that. Following my staff report, we will go into the applicant's portion of the meeting. They can give their remarks and presentation, and then following that, we will have a session of public comment. So I will begin with that staff report. So this case is under case number VACU 25-16. This is for the property at 1385 Franklin Street in Lewis Center. This is a property owned by Paul and Amy Tout. Their agent is Nathan D. Painter. The summary of this request is seeking a the applicant is seeking a continuation of a conditional use from section 7.04A for an existing business for boarding and training dogs located across 3 parcels north of Franklin Street and at the corner of First Street. The site is currently owned by Amy and Paul Tout. Also, the applicant is requesting 2 area variances, one from section 7.04A to allow for the use of more than 50% of the floor space of an accessory building by the home occupation, and to allow more than 3 non-resident employees. So, a little context for your awareness. Originally, the previous property owner applied for a conditional use permit under 07-0308 for home occupation for a dog training business known as Acme Canine. This was approved on June 14, 2007, subject to the conditions that, number 1, the sign will be no larger than 6 square feet. Number 2, the top of the sign shall not be higher than 4 feet from finished grade. Number 3, there shall be no outdoor kennels. Subsequently, following the current owner applicant, Paul and Amy Tout, applied for a conditional use from section 24.03 for the business Passion for Paws to construct a 20 by 30 foot addition, 600 square feet, adding to the living space of the home. And this request was approved on September 17, 2020. The addition, which included basement area below first floor enclosed living space, was approved through zoning permit 2020-0280 on September 23rd, 2020. As a note, while conditional use for dog kennel and boarding business was approved in 2007, the owners had since changed. And since no specific condition was made for the business to run with the land, the current owners are required to reapply for the continuation of the conditional use as per section 7.04. And to the next portion of the report, the surrounding area in all 4 directions around this property, the zoning district is Farm Residential District. This is Old Lewis Center Village. And then the land uses are all single-family homes in all 4 directions. For your other context, aerial view, zoomed out, you see that's along Lewis Center, and you see where US 23 is in relation. And then for the much more zoomed in version, this shows both the Franklin Street and that First Street intersection. This is a corner parcel. It's also stretching across 3 total parcels as far as both the dwelling and the accessory structure and a fenced area to the west of that. All right, for the staff review portion, as stated earlier, this is a conditional use request along with 2 area variances. So to begin with, this is a continuation request for that conditional use from section 7.04A of the Orange Township zoning resolution, which states home occupations conducted by a resident of a permitted dwelling subject to the following restrictions. Number 1, the home occupation shall be carried out on solely within the confines of the residential structures and architecturally compatible accessory buildings which are customarily associated with the residential use and character of the neighborhood. The applicant indicated the operation will take place within the accessory structure, which is 30 by 40 on the property. Number 2, only one sign not larger than 6 square feet and 4 feet in height above grade of the surrounding yard may be erected advertising the home occupation. The sign may be located at eye level if mounted flat against a building. The sign shall be a design compatible with the residential character and shall not be animated or lighted. There is an existing wall sign beside the business entrance, which you will see later attached in this report. For number 3, the home occupation shall occupy not more than 20% of the total floor area of the dwelling unit or 50% of the combined floor space in any garage or accessory building. The applicant indicated the accessory structure is 1,200 square feet to be utilized for the home occupation, and it is to be used in its entirety. This represents a 100% occupation of the dwelling unit, which exceeds the requirement by 600 square feet. As referenced above, this represents a 100% variance request. For number 4, no more than 3 non-resident employees shall work on said premises. The applicant indicated that up to 8 non-resident employees will work on the premises, exceeding this standard by 5 employees. As referenced above, this represents a roughly 167% variance request. Number 5, services may be rendered on premises or elsewhere. All services would take place on location. Number 6, all parking demands created by the conduct of the home occupation shall be met off-street and other than in a front yard. Off-street parking may be permitted in a side or rear yard, but shall not be located any closer to the street than the required setback line. The required number of off-street parking spaces shall equal the spaces required for the residential use plus those required for the commercial use which constitutes the home occupation. If no parking requirement is given for a particular home occupation, the parking requirements for the most similar commercial use shall be used in order to calculate the required minimum number of spaces. Applicant has designated a parking area off-street that allows clients to park safely without obstructing traffic on public roads or interfere with the surrounding traffic patterns, and photos of that are included as well later in this report. Number 7, no equipment, process, or storage associated with the home occupation shall create odors, noise, vibration, glare, electrical interference, or other nuisance detectable or normal sense off the lot. All activities, materials, and equipment associated with the business shall be totally maintained within a building. In the case of electrical interference, no equipment or process shall create visual or audible interference in any radio or television receivers or other audio appliances used off the premises, or cause fluctuation in line voltage off the premises. No equipment, process, or storage associated with a home occupation shall create any fire or explosion hazard or involve the storage of or use of hazardous materials in any concentration greater than what would normally be found in a dwelling containing a home with no home occupation. The applicant noted in their application that the proposed use would not create excessive noise, fumes, smoke, or other nuisances associated with the business. For number 8, waste materials, solid or liquid, shall not be created on the premises at a level greater than normal to the residential use, unless provisions for the disposition of said wastes are acceptable to the Delaware County Department of Health and do not create a burden on adjoining property. In their application, the applicant indicates that the proposed use will operate within applicable health and safety regulations. Number 9, no activity shall be conducted or permitted which creates a nuisance to neighboring properties. The applicant noted in their application that the proposed use will not pose any hazards to nearby residences. The operational hours are designed to minimize potential disturbances to the surrounding area. So that was our conditional use standards, and next will be the area variances. So area variance from section 7.04A3 of the Orange Township zoning resolution. The home occupation shall occupy not more than 20% of the total floor area of the dwelling unit or 50% of the combined floor space in any garage or accessory building. The applicants indicated their request to use 100% of the 30-foot by 40-foot, 1,200 square foot accessory building along the west side of the home when up to 50% is permitted. The applicants also stated in their application that there is no feasible way to consolidate the business to 50% of the space and utilize the other 50% in a meaningful way. This is a 100% variance request. Area variance number 2. It's from section 7.04A4 of the Orange Township zoning resolution. No more than 3 non-resident employees shall work on the said premises. The applicants have indicated that there will be 8 non-resident employees with the understanding that shifts will be limited to not more than 3 non-resident employees, except for staff training meeting when all employees may be present. The request for 8 non-resident employees is also based on the fact that some employees are part-time, which is 3 currently, and some are full-time, which is 3 currently, and some staff are also seasonal. This flexibility would accommodate a rotating schedule or multiple shifts throughout the day while keeping on-site activity consistent within the intent of the zoning regulation. This does exceed the standard by 5 employees, therefore represents roughly 167% variance request. Following portion of the report is the exhibits. Give you a better idea of the layout of the site. This is a slightly zoomed in version showing the overhead aerial. And going on to the next exhibit, it's a comparison contrast to show the 2021 prior to the home, the living space addition, the layout of all 3 parcels. And you can see that addition in 2024 on the northeast side. Just a few more of the diagrams showing that exhibit with the proposed 20 by 30 addition. This is exhibit 4 is the floor plan showing the first floor. Exhibit 5 is the basement area. And then finally, move to the site photos here. Top photo is the completed addition. Again, 600 square foot living space with basement. This is the corner of First Street and Franklin Street. Just another image of the addition from the side. And then the photo on the bottom shows the parking area with the fence that is associated with the home business, just to give you an idea of that layout. Next photos are of the accessory building, and it includes a sign next to the main entrance. We took a more zoomed in photo for you to see the design there. And then the last photo is just looking down the street, just a general street view image for more of your familiarity and context in this neighborhood. So last 2 portions are technical agency review and criteria for consideration. So there were no comments needed or given by the fire department, as an inspection is not required for this type of home occupation. So finally, the factors listed out as we've gone through, and example motions for your reference. So I'm happy to go through any questions, elaborate or clarify what we have covered in the report. Please feel free at this time.
Eric, can you explain why this didn't stay with the property, the previous variance?
So because of the fact that ownership changed, the way that our zoning resolution is written, it requires a reapplication to continue essentially the conditional use that was previously granted. So the new owners coming in triggered that requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Eric. Would the applicant like to say something?
Yes, sir.
Sure. You had a presentation for more than just the timeline, right? It has some slides. Oh, sure. I think I got the presentation.
Good evening. My name's Nathan Painter. I'm the attorney for the applicant, Amy and Paul Tout. I have been sworn in. My address is 5029 Cemetery Road, Hilliard, Ohio. I had the privilege, one time sitting on one of these boards of zoning appeals. I have now presented in front of these board of zoning appeals as an attorney probably for the last 15 years. And when I come before these boards, usually we're dealing with, can we have a property setback for a pool or for a deck or whatever. I can hardly in my recollection ever remembering coming before a board and saying, hey, my clients have their livelihood on the line because they need a variance. And that's what we're here tonight, to kind of put it into to the proper perspective of what we're asking for tonight is, yes, it's conditional use. Yes, there's variances, but it is Amy and Paul's livelihood and business that we are asking you for your help here tonight. I don't think we can stress enough that that this site, there has been this type of operation for the last 18 years, and the accessory building that they're asking for a variance has been used at 100% since 2012, which is now 13 years, but that building that we're asking for the variance for 100% use of has been used as 100% for the last 13 years. Can you go a couple slides in?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Amy and Paul kind of come up here in a second and tell you about their business. I kind of want to go through a few things here real quick to answer some of the questions that Ms. Neff maybe had here a little bit. And then because of the gravity of the situation, after Paul and I get done speaking here, Paul and Amy get done speaking, I want to go through the technical elements real quick, just so I can make the record, if that's okay. As alluded to earlier, the prior owner started this business at this site in 2007. She was granted a conditional use for a home occupation dog training business known as Acme Canine. The accessory structure that we're asking for the variance here was built in 2012 and has been used for the business operations since then. I have looked, and I believe my clients have looked, I do not believe that the township ever gave approval for that, or was ever sought for that, or was denied that. In 2016, Amy was hired and began working at Acme. And then 2017, Amy and Paul had the opportunity to buy the operations, and they renamed it Passion for Paws. These are young folks. They had no idea that they had to get any zoning re-ups or any variance or whatever. She was working for an operation that was continuously operating, was not being bothered by the township, was expanding, and they thought everything was hunky-dory, and they bought the business and they continued to operate it. In 2020, as alluded to, Amy and Paul did an expansion on their home, because their home is right next to it. Their kids are living next to this building. It really is a home occupation building, or home occupation. In that application before this BZA board, it lists that they are have a home occupation. It says as a dog boarding facility. At that BZA hearing, it was approved, their structure was approved. No questions were raised about them running their operations at that time by the BZA. In 2022, I would note, in July 2022, your current zoning resolution went into effect. Then in 2023, Paul had some discussions with the township and about the conditional use, and they were advised at that time that the conditional use permit was in full effect. It wasn't until in June of this year that the township came back and said, hey, because of this, I believe because of the zoning resolution change, they do need to apply for conditional use and for the variances. So that's why we're here tonight. I will note that the location of the residence is at 1385 Franklin Street. It is your FR1 zoning. Agricultural zoning is also in the Old Lewis center of your comp plan. Pursuant to your code, to the zoning resolution under 7.01, the purpose of FR1 zoning is to use the use of appropriate lands for continued agricultural purposes. I went and looked. The raising and caring for dogs has been declared under Ohio law as an agricultural purpose. Specifically, it is as animal husbandry under 51.9.01 of the Ohio Revised Code. Agriculture includes the care and raising of livestock, and under 955.03, livestock includes dogs. And there's a case, Harris versus Rootstown Township, that specifically stated that the raising of dogs is an agricultural activity in Ohio. And recently, in a case out of Trumbull County, it actually said that rescue operations of dogs is an operation that falls within the agricultural exception and is an agricultural activity. I will note, as you may know, because we're under township law, the townships are kind of handcuffed by statute to what you can and cannot do to regulate agricultural activity. And I would submit that the use, because it's an agricultural activity, is permitted, and that this township cannot permit or cannot deny them to use it for agricultural purposes. It can regulate, but cannot deny the use of for agricultural purposes under Ohio law. Just like I said, I need to make my record. If you have any questions as to those legal terms, I'd be more than happy to answer them. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Amy and Paul to kind of probably get to the meat of this and what their operations are about, why they need the different variances, and I'll come back up here and go through all the technical analysis. So with that, I'll turn it over to Paul and Amy.
Hey everyone, my name is Paul Tapp, 1385 Franklin Street, Lewis Center 43035, and I'm sworn in.
Hi, I'm Amy Tout, 1385 Franklin Street, Lewis Center, and I am sworn in.
You saw probably at the very beginning of the slideshow some pictures of our family. Eric, if you don't mind, can you go to the second slide? And I think I'll just ask Amy to walk through your business a little bit. And also, I'm not sure of the format. If you all have questions, please stop us, like however you want to interrupt. We're here to answer the question.
And also, please give me some grace. I'm not used to speaking in this, so if I seem a little nervous, just a passive. Okay. So, of course, a little bit about our family. As you've heard, we've been residents of Orange Township since 2017. We moved here with our little family, which is Maddie at the time, and we purchased the home with the business attached. In our home, there we have 4 daughters, aging from 1 through 9, so it's very busy. I work, I guess I work from home. I operate the business and I stay home with my girls. And Paul also works from home for McGraw-Hill. We also have some 4-legged family members as well. We have our Lena, our Clementine, and our Ozzy, as well as a guinea pig and a rabbit. So our business, Passion for Paws, it was formed with the purpose of bridging the communication gap between humans and their beloved pets, dogs, specifically dogs. We also aim and strive to help dogs become calm, composed, and confident creatures in our homes. We provide board and train services where the dogs come to stay with us for multiple weeks. We build a foundation of training. We give them confidence. We teach behavioral modification. We work very closely with the owners to make sure that transitions well to home. We also provide a puppy-exclusive doggy daycare called Pup Academy. That is where puppies get to run their energy out, get to learn foundational skills, crate training, potty training, all that fun stuff. We also offer private lessons, and as a perk for training with us, you get to board at my facility, vacations, holidays, things like that. And the facility is about a 1,200 square foot building attached to our home. It has 12 kennels. It has 3 3 outside yards, all of which are fenced, and with a 6-foot privacy fencing. Our staffing, we have an average of 6 employees, which fluctuates depending on seasonally and things like that. I like to keep 2 to 3 on site at all times for safety and also to help maintain and work through the training of these dogs in the neighborhood. I like to schedule on staggered shifts. There's collaboration, communication between staff members, and it really helps run the operation effectively. So Nathan did a great job at speaking to the timeline, but I don't know if you have anything else to add to that part.
Not really. I think we can go to the next one, and then Amy's going to give you a little kind of virtual tour of the facility.
So, the next couple slides are just some pictures of inside the facility. On the left is labeled 1. It is when you first walk in the door. As you can tell, it's a pretty homey feel. There's a kitchenette there, a desk for staff to take notes. There's some cubbies with some dog toys in there. And the door right there is a laundry room area, and that whiteboard is just the what's on tap for training today. And of course, there's Miss Bell practicing her composed behavioral skills on that cot right there. Slide number 2, or picture number 2, is what we call our quiet side kennels. These are where our dogs board, where they have decompression time, calm time, so on and so forth. Slide number 3 on the left, that's what we call our training room. It is a multi-purpose room. We use it for our puppy daycare, training sessions. We'll do some private lessons in there occasionally, social hour. That's kind of what that room is used for. And then that little doggy door in the back wall there connects to number 4, which is what we call our gravel yard. That's a fully pea gravel space for dogs to play, socialize. And when you're in the training room, you can come and go from that area as you please. And then lastly, that's just a snapshot of the backyard that you can only go through the door right there. So, and it's all fully fenced outside.
Is the backyard for your family or for
No, that's
family
the-
and
that's
dogs?
the doggy
That's the
backyard,
dog piece.
Which, on the other side of the fence line is our family's backyard.
Okay,
so.
okay.
There's 3 yards. We typically use 2 of the 3, and then we form little play groups for the dogs that tend to be same size, and kind of prevents them getting along together. Friends, honestly. This is a floor plan of the structure, and those numbers correspond to where the photos were taken, or the approximate view of the photos that we just went through. The picture of the backyard isn't labeled here, but it'll be up, right, looking down. You can see those rectangles are the 12 raised mason kennels that we have. These have plumbing underneath them. There's a floor drain. The finished floor is like what you find in a textured garage floor, like with the flex in it, and that wraps up on the bottom of the kennels on the training room side. So these are not movable, and I have thought about how to reconfigure this space and try to get it to the 50%, and I can't imagine how to do that. It's purpose built to provide great care for dogs, and it just isn't really good for anything other than that in the current configuration.
Okay, so the next couple of slides are going to be discussing our staffing and why we're looking for this area variance for the staff. And I didn't feel I can do that without telling you a little bit about the staff I currently have now. So I have 6 staff members right now. I'm just going to kind of go through them quickly and briefly. I have Tiara, she's actually here tonight. She's a full-time trainer. She's certified. She leads our immersion programs. She also currently babysits my children. So to say that I trust her is an understatement. And I'm very particular about my staff. You know, they're working in close quarters with my dogs, with my kids, in my home. So they better pass that test. Then I also have Miss Rachel. She's a part-time trainer. She started with me actually in 2022 as an office manager, expressed an interest in dog training, and went through her certification process as I was under Pesh Prabhas rather, as their mentor. So we helped her get through that, and now she is one of my part-time dog trainers. I have Carrie. She's also full-time. She also received her certification through Catch training program while she was under my employ. She heads my puppy daycare program. I have Aiden. He's a full-time kennel specialist or a senior specialist. He is currently a college student, but work is very important to him. He's got a very awesome work ethic. He is working full-time, going to school full-time, pursuing a career as a plumber. He is wonderful. He's great with the dogs. He helps Paul with so many handyman projects, and he's just a wonderful addition to our home. Olivia she started with me in 2020. She has also earned her dog training certification. She actually went through a Passion for Paws scholarship program to help her get that certification. And she works for me part-time, and she works part-time at a vet office that we also have a lovely symbiotic relationship with in Orange Township. And then there's Miranda. She's actually been with me since before I was Passion for Paws. She worked at Acme Canine. She trained me to be a kennel manager. She stayed when I shifted over to Passion for Paws. She's been working for me ever since. She's actually currently pursuing a career in dog grooming, which I'm helping her facilitate as well. So that's a little bit about who I have on staff with me and why they're so important and so crucial to me and to Passion for Paws. On that same token, this slide is just a little bit of like a run through of how our day operates and how the staffing shift is staggered. We have an opener come in at 6:30. On the weekends, it is often me. During the weekdays, I have my Pup Academy, had Carrie come in and do that opening for me. 7:38, we have another trainer come on shift. The names here are just an example. It's dependent on their schedule and availability. She comes on shift. She will get right into starting on the training and getting those puppies out to play for their first play group of the day. They're very anxious to get started. And then after that, I'll have another staggered shift with another trainer coming in. She'll do one-on-ones with the immersions. She'll work on our social media, kind of had that aspect of things, maybe some trainer emails, so on and so forth. By then, one of my trainers is typically clocking out to go to their other job, and so then there's the two trainers left on staff, with me being right next door. At around 12:30, I typically come over when my little one takes her nap. I will come over, touch base with the trainers. How can I help? What do you need? Give me the lowdown on the dogs. And then I'll sit and I'll work in the office, do some emails, client relations, business operations, all the behind the scenes fun stuff. At 1 o'clock, we have a specialist clock in. That's, the aidants, where they will take care of the cleaning, they will start dog walks, they will do little play groups with the boarding dogs, kind of do that side of things. And then right after, about an hour or so after the specialist clocks in, my earlier trainer will clock out. Her day is over, her 6-hour shift is done. A couple hours later, our 8-hour trainer, full-time trainer, she will clock out as well, leaving one specialist on staff. When it's busier, sometimes there's two, it just depends. And me and Paul on call, especially when there's just one employee over at the building. At 9 o'clock, we are lights out and good night for the day. So that's kind of, a day in the life at Passion for Paws, and then we, do that 364 more days of the year.
On the next slide, if you don't mind. Okay, thank you. So why more than 3 employees? The facility's open about 100 hours per week, and we want to have 2 or 3 people there at all times, including one of us much of the time, right? And at 3 employees, all full time, it's 120 hours. That leaves 80 to 180 hours for Amy and I to work. There's no flexibility for illness, vacation, no coverage, no ability to handle when there's an emergency, no ability to handle when someone leaves for another opportunity. We've had people leave to become nurses, zoologists, business owners, moms, right? So it happens. And then at 5, that's adding 2 part-time above the 3. We're at 160 to 180 hours. This is kind of the threshold for like what we can make work, and we work a lot in that scenario. It's possible. There's no shift overlap. So one person's leaving right as another person's coming. They don't have time to connect. There's no culture. There's no collaboration, no teamwork. It's not a place you're working alone all the time. You better really love dogs because you're not going to see people, right? And we don't want that. We want the trainers to collaborate and sharpen each other. It's also, in that case, still difficult to handle departures, and Amy and I don't take vacations. We've been there before, right? At 6 is where you start to turn the corner. At 6 is what we have now. We did take a vacation recently, finally, and Amy focuses on mentorship, running the business, clients, kind of quality control, right? And we're fully staffed for that 2-person minimum. There's teamwork, there's time off, we're able to navigate when somebody leaves. At 7 is an alternate kind of strategy where everyone is part-time. We don't have any full-timers. We've been in that boat before too. We can keep things going with 7 without making any major changes to how we operate the business. And the reason we're asking for 8 is because I want to ask you for something that I know I can truthfully commit to forever. We don't have any plans to need more than that. 8 gives us the flexibility to take on the apprenticeship, the person who's trying to become a dog trainer, the neighbor whose kid is a student and looking for a job part-time. It lets us do those things while still maintaining the commitment to them, right? So that's the why, more than 3 employees. Amy, if you're ready, I think we're gonna walk through some of the operational processes that'll just tell you how we run this business.
Okay, so Eric did a great job of summarizing the parking, but I just wanted to go a little bit more in detail about that operational aspect of our business. We do have dedicated off-street parking right there in those lovely red boxes. There's a limestone gravel parking area. It's very common most of my neighbors have that type of parking area. It's safe for paws, etc. We have specific time windows for drop-off and pickup. There's a lot of reasons for this, as well as parking reasons. From 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 4:30 to 6:30 p.m., there's a curbside pickup and drop-off window. People come in, they park, they call us, hey, I'm here for Belle. Okay, we'll bring her right out. We bring her out, and then they go on their merry way. We've had people there, anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes. 5 max. The average is probably about 3 minutes where there's somebody parked in a spot. And there is also additional parking on site if needed, staff meetings. When we have family in town, we have some home spots that we dedicate that we can use because we only have 2 vehicles. We have multiple spots on our side as well, if necessary. But for day-to-day operations, it's not. I've never really had the need for that. So that's just a quick little summary of our parking scenario.
Where do your employees park?
They park in those spots.
Okay.
Yeah. Typically, it's on a small facility. We don't have very many clients dropping off at one time. It's 2 or 3, actually more like 1 to 2, and then they just move along. Okay, so.
Can I, excuse me, Amy, I just wanted to interject. I noticed on your plan, there is gravel, parking or an area there on the east side of your property. Is that also used for, is that deliveries or for just storage, or is that parking also? It's a scratch gravel looking.
I mean, it is for parking, like, we do park there sometimes. That's not the primary place that we use to park for the business.
Okay.
We have family in town, but that is, to what you mentioned, that, we've had furniture delivered there, we've had long maintenance crews parked there with a trailer, it's like one long continuous spot. Easy access to the yards through the gate. Yeah.
Okay, understood. Can you go back to one slide, please? I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, so 5 spaces there. Okay. So again, it's to the point bring question about parking for employees. That's the primary concern that I was in reviewing the application. Also curious about, and ways of addressing that from if you do have the shift and you've got 2 parking there until they leave, et cetera, where they may be able to park. That's really the genesis of the question on that east area, okay? Because it is short term, especially when someone's making a transition and leaving their shift. That person could leave, then they could pull back up there and move into that space, for instance, okay? Just as long as they're not blocking road, et cetera, that kind of thing. So that's very important. That space is valuable commodity, really, and for that interest. So I did want to verify what that was, and that it is always open in there.
And that's the beauty of that pickup drop-off window, because I only have that one employee and then that second one that shows up amidst the drop-off and pickup window in the morning. So we still have those at least 3 spots for the employees, for the clients to park. And then by the time my 3rd employee is coming in, pickup and drop-off is over. So that's the clients are no longer coming in to park. So they just kind of pull right in. Same thing for PM. It works. It just works. Very rarely do we ever need to use our personal side for overflow parking, but we do have it if we need to utilize it.
We weren't sure what you all would consider as reasonable parking. We can fit 11 cars on dedicated gravel parking off the street. There are 3 on that east side. We have 3 spaces effectively in front of our house, as well as 5 in front of the business.
And 2 of those are taken up by your own vehicles?
2 of them, yes.
Okay, thank you. So 9 extra.
Well, 3. The Jeep is ours too, actually, we're trying to sell it.
Okay. So, as you would imagine, dogs comes with cleaning. And I take that to the utmost importance, for so many reasons. Smell, illness, care of the animals, that it has to be clean. So the first thing aligned with that is the products we use. I use Kennel. I spend thousands and thousands of dollars a year on Kennel. There are cheaper alternatives. I don't want to use them. Kennel was recommended to me at the very beginning from my cousin, who's a veterinarian up in Sandusky. And it is something I've used since. It is a cleaner, disinfectant, deodorizer. It kills everything. And it's safe, non-toxic. Once it dries, it's completely safe. And even if not, there's no harsh fumes, and it is a non-toxic product. And then along with that, our cleaning schedule, anything a dog touches during the day, at the end of the day, is cleaned and disinfected with that product. Kennels, floors, walls, doorknobs, you name it, it's disinfected and cleaned with that product. Daily, 2 times per shift at least, we are doing poop patrol. Often more than that, but there are 2 designated checklist items per shift that they must check off. For poop patrol, it goes in a closed, regular residential trash can, and then gets taken out to our normal Rumpke residential trash can and goes with the trash on Fridays. Weekly, we do filters, drains, appliances, deep cleaning of outdoor, as well as some deeper cleaning of the kennels and indoor spaces. So that's my cleanliness protocols. Okay, with dogs also comes noise, right? Well, our little Oak Lewis Center Village is kind of a loud area in general. We live right next to a train. We provided a lovely little infographic for you about the decibels that each of these items creates. We're right by Lewis Center Road. There's a railroad crossing, as I mentioned. Most of our neighbors have dogs, and actually several of them are our clients. We are a training facility, so I would not be a very good training facility if my dogs were nonstop, incessantly barking. We do not just yell, shut up, be quiet, and go about our day and let them do it. No, we have commands. We teach them quiet please, settle, redirection tactics, techniques, all the things to make sure their dogs are going to bark, of course, right? But we keep it to a limited amount as possible. So that is my little operations slide.
And this is just a map from the Delaware County Auditor, kind of comparing where we are versus these other sources of noise. So you have on the east side, on the right side, the line of within 100 feet from the railroad tracks versus the top side, 100 feet from the center road. The inner circle there is within 100 feet of our actual building, and the outer circle is within 100 feet of our neighbors. So those are the nearby properties, and they're also their relative proximity to those other places. I think that we align strongly with the comprehensive land use plan for Orange Township. There's a number of quotes in there about the economic development and prioritizing small businesses, entrepreneurship, wanting to encourage residents that live and work in Orange Township. I also believe that we fit the definition and the intent for sub-area 15 Oak Lewis Center, specifically saying the rehabilitation and reuse of existing structures, which that's what we're here to do. We want to formalize the use of that existing structure. And then I also see evidence that the community also supports the presence of small business here, evidenced by the public survey report data in that land use plan, where there's a desire to retain small business.
I'm just going to touch base briefly on our community value and resident feedback. We've done dog training for hundreds of clients in the neighborhood in the last 8 to 9 years. We've helped young adults thrive in animal careers, pursue careers when maybe there wasn't one. We've partnered with local rescues. I think you guys have it with you as well. There's some letters of support from Stop the Suffering Animal Rescue that I've worked with for years now. Through both taking care of litters of puppies, rescuing, rehabilitating, behavioral assessments, working with discounted rate for adoptees. We are truly the definition of a homegrown small business. And then on these next couple slides, there's some quotes from letters of support from both our neighbors and clients, which I believe was also shared with you guys. I don't think I need to spend the time to read it. We also have quite a few neighbors and clients here for support as well. So, yeah.
The last slide is just a summary of what we're asking for. Bring it all home. We want to continue our home occupation. We're a local family-owned small business operating attached to our home. We want to use 100% of that space for the business. That's what it's built for. We want to keep doing that. And then we'd like to have the permission to have up to 8 non-resident employees so that we can have that staffing model that lets us deliver the best possible product that we can, lets people have work-life balance, lets people want to work there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may just run through the factors real quick for the record and answer any questions. With respect to the conditional use, it is our position that the elements in section 28.07D are met for the conditional use. One, that the proposed use is in fact a conditional use as established under the district. It is. The farm residential district does allow home occupation under 7.04A of the Orange Township zoning resolution. Factor 2, the proposed use is of such a nature and designed to be constructed, operated, and maintained in such a manner as to be harmonious and appropriate with the existing intended character of the general vicinity, and that such use will not change the essential character of the same area. As I've noted, this business has been in operation since at least 2007. The accessory building has been there for 2012 and been used as a dog training facility. I think it's hard to say that a change now to not allow them or let it continue would change somehow the essential character of the neighborhood. And again, as I noted before, dog training is a form of agricultural activity under the state of Ohio's definition. The proposed use will not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future neighboring uses. No, the property is kept clean. As Amy has gone through, there is a maintenance schedule to keep that place clean. They take great measures to ensure that their operations do not create a hazardous to their neighbors. There have been no physical injuries caused to the neighbors or third parties by any of the dogs in the applicant's control. And I will note that the applicants have in place commercial liability insurance. The proposed use will serve adequately, is served adequately by essential public facilities. Yes, it has water, police, fire, and whatnot. 5, the proposed use would not involve uses, activities, process materials, or conditions that would be detrimental to any persons or property by reason of excessive production of traffic noise, smoke, fumes, glares, or odors. Again, no. The client meets this element, does not create any unpleasant or detrimental impact to persons or residents in the area. There is some barking with the dogs, but as Paul noted, they're with 200 feet of a major railroad line that creates a lot more noise. The proposed use will have vehicular approaches to the property which are so designed and not to create interference with traffic or surrounding public thoroughfare. We've talked about the parking. I believe the staff has noted that there's been no impact on people being able to get in and out in that area due to traffic associated, the minimal traffic associated with the applicant's use. And again, the proposed use will be consistent with the objectives of the zoning resolution. Again, it is an agricultural activity that they are engaged in, and the Orange Township Comprehensive Plan. I think Paul did a really good job of demonstrating how it is in line with the comprehensive plan, especially in this area, the old Liberty Lewis Center, especially to foster entrepreneurship and encourage small businesses. With respect to the variances, I mean, we have to admit that they are asking for 100% use, which is more than the 50% of the accessory building the code allows, and more than the 3 employees. As to the building, that building is specifically designed to be used for the operations that they're using as dog training. It was built in 2012, has been used as a dog training facility since then without any interruption or concern until now from the township. It has its own HVAC system, it has its own central air, it has plumbing, it is designed specifically for what these folks do. They have underground plumbing that to redesign this would be an extraordinary, exorbitant cost that they frankly probably could not afford to rehab. The variance will not be contrary to the public interest. Again, dog training is something that the public does need. We are seeing drastically rising trends in pet ownership in the United States. We've gone, and with that comes the need to people to know how to handle their dogs appropriately, and these folks provide that services. They're providing service to many clients here in Orange Township. They do tremendous work with nonprofit dog rescue organizations. And again, 100% of the accessory building has been used as a dog training facility since it was built by the previous owner. I will note too, I don't think the pictures do a great job. If you look at that facility from the ground, it has the same color, same roof, shingles, whatever. It blends in as if it's part of their house. You would not know it was there except for the sign and whatever. And all these activities are internal to that building. The said variance is justified due to special conditions. Again, there's no other efficient use of the space in its current form, and the space would need to be significantly overhauled for any use, and it's an expense that the applicants most likely could not afford. With respect to the employees, I will just note back to their presentation because they've done a tremendous job, I think, of laying out why they need the variance for their employees. And the literal enforcement of the resolution will result in practical difficulties. It will. Again, if they cannot use more than 50% of their accessory of this building, they cannot operate. They cannot use the rest of that building for any purpose other than for a dog training facility. They will go out of business if they can't use this facility to its max as it was designed to do. I don't know how much more of a practical difficulty you can get than that. Whether the property in question will yield a reasonable return without the beneficial use, without the variance, again, no. If they don't have the variance, they will not get a reasonable return on their property. Yes, the variance is substantial. We're not going to run from that issue. That's a factor not in our favor, but again, I think all the other factors weigh in granting the variance. Whether essential character of the neighborhood would change or be substantially altered, again, no. This has been there, as I said, ad nauseum. It's been there for over 18 years now. The accessory building has been there since 2012. The look of the building, accessory building, blends with the neighborhood, blends in with the house. There's no evidence that adjoining properties suffer any substantial detriment from having that accessory building there. Whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction, as they testified to, they did not. When Amy was working there, when she bought it, it was being used as a dog training facility with this accessory building, having been built and used at that time. And whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through some method other than a variance. No, the accessory building is built specifically and intentionally as a dedicated dog training facility. With that, I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. I do appreciate your time for hearing this important matter, and we do ask that the conditional use and the variances be granted for these folks. Otherwise, it would have a substantial and arbitrary impact on these folks and probably ruin their business. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, one housekeeping item. Mr. Painter, do you have a spare copy of the presentation that can be given to the court reporter? So that way,
Yes.
would you like to label that as like an exhibit? Yeah, that's fine, unless the board needs copies.
You want copies?
No.
I will mark this exhibit 1 and hand it to the court reporter.
Thank you.
I guess I have one question. On the whole agricultural use, I want to make sure I'm understanding right, like what we're trying to say.
Yeah,
That-
so can I
Thank you.
give some,
Okay, great.
and, Mr.
Totsky.
Totsky, I'm Julie Donnan, I'm an attorney for Brochus Johnson and Griggs, our office represents the township, it's nice to meet you, it's my understanding you're an alternate, and congratulations and condolences on that. So, a couple things, so agriculture and zoning for townships, is I think we could probably, teach an hour-long seminar on that at least. What I will say is township's abilities to regulate agricultural uses is incredibly limited. That being said, it is revised code 519.21B1 does permit the township to regulate agricultural uses on property that is less than an acre. Your zoning resolution is consistent with that. And so while kennels and dog rescues are agricultural uses, the township does have the ability to regulate. If this property was 5 acres, we probably would not be in here, we would not be having this discussion. Does that answer your
Yes,
question?
thank you.
Wonderful. I do want to provide one additional clarifying item in terms of, and this goes back to Ms. Neff's question at the beginning of the hearing, with respect to why we are here at all. So the current zoning resolution, and I had Eric pull up the zoning resolution that was in place at the time the 2007 conditional use was approved. The language is consistent. This is 7.04 in the resolution that was effective of May 17th, 2007. And the specific language says, unless a conditional use permit specifically provides that the grant shall be permanent and run with the land, the sale or conveyance of the land or structure wherein the same is located or upon the same is granted shall void the conditional use permit, and the subsequent owners or agent shall be required to reapply for the continuation or modification of such uses to the BZA. So just wanted to at least clarify, that's the language that was in the code at the time the initial conditional use was approved, and that language is still in your resolution today. So again, the only reason that we are here is because the property changed hands and no one really was aware of it until recently.
So that being said, does that mean if it is approved tonight and they sell it, same thing again?
The default is that the conditional use permit would expire. The board, part of conditional uses is you have the ability to apply additional conditions to those uses in your approval, so that's something to consider. What I will say, just to kind of give some context on conditional use permits, it's not uncommon that they expire when property changes hands. It's a reason to basically make sure that, you know, it's like a temperature check, just to make sure, all right, has, you know, this use was approved 20 years ago, and you've sold the property, are we still acting consistent with what was initially approved? Do we need to modify that approval? Do we need to update? Do we need to bring it back to center? That type of thing.
Thank you.
I guess I have one question regarding the accessory building also. So that piece of, it is attached, physically attached to your residence? Is there a breezeway, or is that?
Yes, there is. It's our residence, a connector, like a small connector room, and then the kennel.
Okay. So, Eric, you had mentioned that the fire department had no concerns at all. I mean, it's one thing when there's a residence. That's a residence. There's limited on public interest from a fire department on that. But when you're talking about a public structure, is that, I just wanted to understand and make sure there is still control or at least oversight of that building since it's being used for commercial purposes?
Yeah, our conversation did entail this being the type of business that deals with dog boarding, and it was in that context that they stated that it does not require any kind of an inspection, it does not require any kind of follow-up by their department versus other types of home occupations we've talked about here before, daycares among some others, would by comparison require them to go in and perform those inspections. So it was, a distinction was made when we made sure to touch base with the fire department, and they concluded that this type of business does not require their presence or inspection.
Thank you. Just want to clarify that.
And I would suspect when the accessory structure was built several years ago, at that point, that's when I would suspect that the fire department did go out and inspect, and obviously the building department inspected that type of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Other questions?
Anyone from the?
Hmm?
any other-
Yeah, I was getting that.
Okay.
If we're done quizzing staff and owners, are there other people in the audience that wish to testify?
Yes. My name is Trent Yates, and I was sworn in earlier. And I'm currently, as soon as I get done speaking, I'm going to go clean your school system. I took 2 hours of personal time to keep your schools clean, okay?
What address are you at?
1384 Franklin Street.
Thank you.
Not 1385, 1384. I'm directly across the street. I could give you more history than anybody spoke tonight about the dog businesses and the history, okay? I've resided in Lewis Center for 30 years. And I've seen Acme Canine, Laura Packus start the business, and I've lived it all. And there hasn't been a problem with either owner, okay? The township didn't have a problem. I didn't have a problem. If anybody should have had a problem, I'm 50 feet away from this business, okay? From the center of the road, my house is less than 25 feet. Same with their site, okay? Am I a dog lover? Yes, I got dogs. Do they bark? Yes. But that's not why I'm here. I'm here to support all the business owners, small business owners, whether it would be Witt's over the railroad track, whether it be the barber shop, whether it be any business, you know, in Evans Farms, you know. I support those. I want to see people succeed. And if we don't, you know, give them the permission to keep doing what they've been doing for the last 19 years, then we're not doing our part in the township, you know. We want to support these people, and that's what I want to do. And I support the school system. I support you guys, you know. And I just will read, email that I sent in to you. Because it goes deeper than, you know, they do a lot of caring about their neighbors and the concerns, you know. If you hear a dog barking, that was my dogs. You guys got the wrong people up. I got 5 dogs. 2 of them are my daughters, okay? These are big dogs and stuff, and thank you. So, I'm not, you know, saying that all dogs will bark and stuff, and it's not annoying to me, you know? It's like, my own dogs annoy me sometimes. But my name is Trent Yates. I currently am a neighbor of Passion for Paws, which I know them best by Amy and Paul Tout. I've lived across in my house for 30 years plus at 1384 Franklin Street, which is directly across from the business owners. I can't say enough nice things about them as people. You know, it goes further than the business, okay? I'm writing this to the township to just show my sincere gratitude to have them as my neighbors and business owners across the street. I value them as neighbors, and also of the community. They're Amy constantly, and Paul too, but they all constantly demonstrate their thoughtfulness, their respect, and their professionalism in every aspect of running their business. Okay? They consistently make sure that the dogs are under their care or well supervised. Waste is picked up each and every time. I would be amazed if anybody ever said that they left something. They better look a little bit further, whether that's coyote or that's cat or something, okay? But they better do DNA on that stuff. You know, it's like, they also make sure that each and every neighbor in the burg that we live in, you know, they give them all the same respect. Now, whether all the neighbors, you know, take that, that's not my life, you know, I have my own concerns and I got better things to worry about, okay? If we want to look out the end of the Franklin Street and look at the railroad trash that's sitting down there, and I gotta look at that every day. If I want to look at the traffic coming down from the railroad tracks to the roundabout that we just caused, you know, those are my concerns, not this. This is something to me that I think that we just need to hopefully grant them the permission to keep doing what they've done for the last 19 years. Speaking was not one of my pluses when I was in school either, but no, I just thank you guys, and you know, I don't have any problems or concerns with the business, with the neighborhood, my neighbors, or anything. Okay?
Thank you.
And I apologize, I do have to leave and go clean.
No, please.
Thanks. Thank you for doing that.
Ma'am?
Hi there. I've never been to a zoning committee meeting, so you can't be wrong with me now. I'm Barb Coons, my address.
Step closer.
Address is 5497 Catalpa Drive, and I have been sworn in. I have been a resident of Orange Township for 24 years, so you have me beat. Well, he left. I've been walking dogs in this township, my dogs, for 24 years, and I cannot tell you how much we need this service. I'm here as a former client, and I'm a former client of Passion for Paws because they did such a good job, we don't need them anymore. We used all their services, boarding, training, doggy daycare. When we were just down to daycare, after a lot of training, my third dog was, needed a lot of help. I'd gone through multiple trainers. I felt like Amy was just a godsend when we found her. And when we just used the daycare, because we had dogs that would like me to be a sled dog owner, but I don't know how to do sled dogs, so they needed a lot of energy outlets during the day. She got to the point that I'm not gonna get your words right, but said, you can keep bringing them, but they just play with each other. I'm taking your money. I don't think you need us. And so I was like, wow, thanks. I built a fence, and that was great. I would use her in a second anytime we need to board. But I also volunteer for the Delaware area, or Delaware Humane Society, and behavior problems are probably the #1 reason dogs end up in there. And again, I have been attacked by a neighbor's dog, walking my dog that's always on a leash. I just feel like this is an incredible service to the community. I'm sorry, she saved our dog because I didn't know if the two of them were gonna be able to live together. So I just want to support that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
Hi, my name is Jane Preston. I live at 6202 First Street. I have been sworn in.
Okay.
Our backyards touch. I can see everything that goes on in their backyard. I can see the kennel. I can hear every peep. They're great neighbors. They run an excellent business. They're kind. Their workers are kind with the dogs. There's no screaming or yelling. When the dogs bark, which they will do, a few minutes they come out and they calm them. Very pleasant. They're out there with them, playing with them. When they walk the dogs and train them, the people are kind. They always pick up after the dogs. Just really great neighbors. We talk. If there is any issue at all, I call Amy and I say, hey, is everything okay? And, you know, they're just some of the best neighbors we've ever had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am?
I don't talk in front of people either, but I am a full-time trainer for Amy. I'm gonna cry, so just.
Could we have your name and address and if
Yes,
you've been
Tiara
sworn?
Thank you.
5758 High Point Lane, Lewis Center, 43035.
Oh, 3-5, yeah.
This one.
I've been sworn in, yes, okay, sorry. I started with Amy actually last year, and during that time of my life, I was not doing the best. I didn't do right by her, and I left, and then I came back earlier this year, and I said, hey, I've worked on myself, and I really want to get back to what I love to do. And she took me back in a heartbeat. Even to this day, the things that I struggled with before, she helps me without doubt. There is nothing but support from her. And she's made it clear that even if I wasn't her employee, she would still be that friend for me. Not to mention, one of my dogs is only my dog because of Amy. She partners with Stop the Suffering, and I met a little dog named Zoe, little white dog. Lots of trauma. She was shut down, shaking in a crate, and if you see videos of her now, she's running through a doggy pool and splashing around and being this big, very big personality. I would not have her without Amy, and Zoe would not be where she's at without this business. So I don't know anything about zoning. I know that I do my part to keep it clean and keep it safe and happy for the dogs and for the people around us. But I do know about dogs. And I know that without her, there would be lots of dogs that before me and during my time there, that wouldn't be where they are now without her. And I think any animal lover would understand that and would appreciate that for sure. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Yes. I thought I saw your hand, but I wasn't sure.
You did. Sorry. Hi, Lisa Banal, 3130 Arctic Avenue, and I have been sworn in. I don't know the touts outside of emails to the business, or my dogs have been training in daycare, so I don't know them personally. But from a professional capacity, it's been amazing. 2 dogs started there in 2021, some basic training. They've spent countless holidays there boarding over the past few years, and then more recently have done 3- and 4-week immersion programs. I feel incredibly grateful as a local homeowner to have somebody so close that my dogs were able to stay close to home, get the training they needed. I can now walk through the neighborhood without them being complete maniacs, and my kids can walk them now through the neighborhood without them being complete maniacs. So just very lucky to have a great small business here in Lewis Center. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? What?
We'll do that when you
We'll
come
take
up
care
to the
of it. Yep.
podium.
My name is Amy Polakowski. I'm at 1104 Evidell, and I have been sworn in. This is my first time attending a zoning meeting. This is eye-opening and very educational, so I'm glad that I came tonight. I am a small business owner in Orange Township, and I'm also a customer of Passion for Paws. I don't even believe that I noticed it was a dog boarding facility when I drove through the cute little Lewis Center Village the first time. I truly believe that small businesses make a community, and when you have owners of those businesses that care for the community and are doing everything the right way, that's just, the icing on the cake, right? We're lucky, we're grateful that we have a lot of small businesses in Orange Township that fit into those categories. So I just feel like driving out small businesses that are doing the things the right way can lead to the demise of an area, can lead to the loss of our property values. And I truly believe that having amenities close to our home helps with the community and the property values and everything. I don't want to have to drive across the county to get my rescue dog trained, or pick up food, or get my car washed, or go to the dentist. Thankfully, we're blessed there too. So I just feel like it's about doing the right thing. And if the neighbors are saying that they love the business, love the family, I just don't see what adding red tape to things, how that does any good. So, and yes, my rescue dog, Casey, is a, I guess if you call him client of Passion for Paws. She lives her best life in that backyard. I'll put it that way. I'm kind of just baffled. I understand the continual use changeover. I actually like that, because if a business did sell and you wanted to make sure they were doing those same things, that's great. All kinds of noises and complaints in residential areas from, we mentioned the train. I've heard more coyotes here than I did growing up on 80 acres. Residential dogs that people don't care for and should probably take to Passion for Paws, barking endlessly. We now have fireworks. I guess for me, I'm more concerned about our inaccessible trails, dangerous roads, and monstrous dirt piles that I have to stare at. So I'll end with that.
Thank you. Next. Yes, in the back.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I can't see over there, so.
Thank you. Good evening, Board. I appreciate your time and the work you do on behalf of the township. It's unseen and sometimes seen.
Name
but
and
certainly
address.
appreciate- Oh, I
Sorry.
didn't give that yet.
Yep, that's
Thank you, and I have been sworn in. For the record, my name is Carol Bell. I am a 22-year resident of Orange Town.
address.
Address.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Of Orange Township. I live at 3399 McCammon Chase Drive in Lewis Center. Orange Township is a place we have chosen time after time to live. I never aspired to live any other place. I absolutely love this township. I'm here to express my full and unwavering support for Passion for Paws. They care for my 2 dogs, and these are my first dogs ever. I've had terrible experiences growing up with dogs growing up, so I've been terrified of dogs, but I have them because of my kids, which I'm sure you understand. They care for mostly Wilby. And before telling you why I need you to understand why Passion for Paws is so important, I want you to understand that they are very niche and they are very different than any place I've ever seen. I'm gonna be honest, I pay a lot. I get a lot, and it's worth it. They set a high bar for their dogs. It is simply not possible to find another facility that does what they do. When you see those pictures, I was looking at the inside and hearing you, everything was entirely, there wasn't hyperbole, there wasn't anything. The building really is that clean. I've only been in there once, and they really do zip you in and out of the parking lot. I appreciate that. And at any rate, this is all a good thing. In my own application, my own dog had, prior to being accepted to Passion for Paws, my dog had to complete an intensive training and obedience program with them. He had to pass before being accepted for care. So, this is not for the faint of heart. It has to be a truly obedient dog. But their training does not end there. It's reinforced with every visit. They are responsibly staffed, and I know they're seeking more. That sounds wonderful. Their staff is professional, respectful, cheerful. I've never had any other experience, and that's a real credit to you, and to this small business. And they've shown very little turnover, if any, in my memory. It's really remarkable. As a result, the staff know the dogs, the families, and the community. Now, regarding me personally and how Passion for Paws, how that all translates to me and my family, my dog is supported and has been important to me because he has a big job in our home. He has been a part of some difficult times for my family. Specifically, he was an obedient and tremendous support throughout the years that I cared for my mother-in-law through her Alzheimer's. I was her sole caregiver, and I volunteered to do that. I have a wonderful mother-in-law. She's amazing. Fast forward, Wilby has been there through my cancer and complications. Through it all, I'm sorry. Through it all, the care and stability Passion for Paws provided in every way
especially the constant training and reinforcement so that I could have an obedient dog at home. I will never find the words or the appropriate thanks to all of you. But I did find their unseen support through Wilby. Why? Because what they do and the very unique way in what they do it, the way in which they do it. Amy and Paul, I know that you are not aware of how your services have impacted our family. When people take their dogs home, they go home to a lot of things. That's what my dogs went through. Alzheimer's, cancer, brain surgery, a lot of different things. And I thank you for being with us, and I hope you will relay that to your staff of what that's meant to us. Thank you for considering my personal testimony, and thank you again for the work that you all do on behalf of all of us in Orange Township.
Okay, thank you.
Should we come up one at a time, but we both reside at those same residents, so I want to clarify. Okay.
Well, hang on. Have you been sworn in?
Okay.
No, they've not.
My name's Ryan Kearns, this is Tiffany Kearns.
Okay,
We,
raise your right hand. Please raise your, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, state I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay, so we have your names, we need your address, and we're ready to go.
So, we're husband and wife, we reside at 6229 First Street. It's represented there on the corner directly, across, from Amy and Paul. You can see the red car and the black SUV. That's our property. We moved in, February of 2024. And I've been a longtime, resident in and out of, Orange Township myself prior to our marriage and moving to this location. So, my wife and I, prepared a statement. We emailed it in, but she's gonna take it from here and read our point of view.
I just like to read it just to make sure that it goes on the record. So I'm just going to read it verbatim how it was sent. I'm writing this email in support of Amy Tout and her family regarding their business Passion for Paws. I'm their neighbor, Tiffany Kearns, and included on this is my husband as well on this email. It is being sent on behalf of both of us as well as our family. Their business is a fabulous addition to our neighborhood and poses absolutely zero problems for us or our community. Living right next door in direct proximity to their business, we have zero negative remarks or complaints. And considering how close we live, if anyone were to have any need or right to complain about their business, it would be us. However, that is not the case. They conduct themselves in a professional and friendly manner, as do their staff. For the longest time, I didn't even realize they owned a pet-related business because that is how well-behaved the dogs and clients are. I did notice dogs being walked when we first moved here, but I didn't recognize any difference in their behavior demeanor than any regular pet owner walking their dog. I just thought it was a lot of dogs in the neighborhood and just friendly people waving and smiling. I was like, I love this place. So, they're friendly, the dogs are well trained, they clean up after the animals, and everything runs smoothly. I am glad to have them as neighbors, and I am happy to be supportive of the American Dream, which is for a family-ran business to thrive. I truly hope this letter will be taken into consideration for their support and a desire to see them continue on and be a part of our local economy and community. And then I just wanted to say one more thing on the record as well is, and so many people have said this, but you can't say enough about them as people. She was, I think, when we first moved in, maybe 9 months pregnant, came over and baked us banana nut bread and brought it over. And, you know, it's like she has a million things going on. She's a mom, a business owner, and she still made time to welcome her neighbors. And they're just fantastic people. I love the community that we live in. I think it would be a shame to see that business go because, again, when we're sitting out on our front porch, and keep in mind we do have indoor and outdoor cats, even our cats aren't afraid of the dogs walking by. You know, they want to interact with them even. And it's just a friendly, joyful community, just seeing everybody walking around, smiling. And a lot of the people that you've heard from tonight are neighbors, and we all support them. I'd be hard pressed to understand why anyone wouldn't be supportive of them. If you saw their little girls, it would melt your heart. They're the sweetest things. My son is 7 years old, and he likes to, they let him go on walks with them around the block, and they're just wonderful, loving people, and I know if they're if they are the way they are with us, with their clients, then they deserve to be in this community. So I really hope that you'll help them be able to succeed and allow them to thrive. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have those sentiments, so thank you.
We haven't been sworn in. May we be?
Yes. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, state I do.
I do.
And then state your names and your address.
Andrew Hun, 5959 North Road, Lewis Center.
Ashley Hun, same address. Do I need to say anything? We're good. Okay.
We know Amy and Paul because our daughters became best friends at preschool, and we knew them a long time before we ever got our second pet. We had a dog previously, and just within the last 6 months, we got a puppy. We've been to their home before we had a dog, and I actually had to call my wife because I didn't know where to park because I was looking for a kennel to identify the house. That's like how well it blends in. We've been in their house previous to having our puppy, and I failed to notice that there was a kennel next door. So even inside their own home that I've been in, it's hard to pick up on. I'm a very particular person, to put it lightly. We've been using them as trainers for our puppy for like the last 3 months, I believe.
We really needed it.
We've really needed it with Lily. She's an Irish Terrier. We drop her off in the morning, we pick her up in the afternoon. I'm a stay-at-home dad. We don't need to use their services. I am home, and I've raised a dog myself without training before. And we take her there because when we don't take her in the morning to Pup Academy, she mopes around the house all day long and annoys me. And when I drop her off in the morning in my big truck, she launches herself out of the truck to get into the building. So it's painfully apparent that they know what they're doing. Like I mentioned, we were friends before we even had a puppy, and failed to notice that they had any impact on the surrounding area, as all of their neighbors have attested to. And we are 100 yards up the street on North Road from them. So
We love that it's close, and everything they shared with how they run their business is true, like quick drop-offs, quick pickups. Our daughters learn so much.
I've gone to drop off before, and the trainers have come out and collected my dog because they see me pull up on the security cameras.
Right. So
Like
they're
before
very
I can
efficient.
literally text them, come get my dog, they are coming out the door to get my dog.
So we're thankful for their business in this community. We also love Orange Township like a lot of us here, and so love to support a lot of like women-led businesses. Like she's a Sheermo to me. Like she is a mom of 4 daughters and also runs this excellent business. So we hope that you'll support them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Mary Lou Greiner. I've been sworn in. I'm at 7700 Pine Hill Road. I'm actually a client. I was a client of Acme Canine before it became Passion for Paws. Different set of dogs. Those dogs are now gone, and I actually have a new set of, well, there were 2 other sets of dogs, but I have a new set of dogs, and we just got a puppy. And so I'm very thankful that this business is in this local community because, like somebody else said, to find another situation like this one, I'm gonna have to go to Gahanna or Worthington or someplace much farther away. And I hope that you can support them and grant their variance because they do provide a great service. I actually work at home, so it's gonna be really convenient for me when my dog is gonna go to the Pup Academy in a week, that I can drop her off and pick her up and be 10 minutes from my house. So please hope that you support them and grant their variance as they requested. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Somebody else had their hand up. Yes, ma'am.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Teresa Wickline, and I'm sworn in, and I live at 1354 Church Street, and I've been a resident of the community for 60 years. almost in that specific place most of the time where I live now. I do have some concerns. I have spoken with Amy, and I've spoken with some of her employees. The business does reactionary training off of our dogs, and they will stand like on the street by our yard and wait until they can get control of those dogs and get them to sit. And I've asked them nicely several times to, you know, go on and conduct it somewhere else. We love dogs too, but using our dogs for reactionary training is just upsetting. One of the conversations that I had with Amy was they were using property to cut through, to take shortcuts in through people's yards. And one of the things that she had said, well, these are alleys in the community, so, you know, we're allowed to cut through there. As far as I know, those alleys were closed a few years ago. And never have we used them just to walk along people's property lines, especially when there's like a yard here, a yard here, there's no road, there's no nothing. We maintain those, we consider those our yards. Back over, I think it was during the summer, maybe, it's been a few months back, there was an incident where one of their workers were walking, they cut across the front of the church yard, and they walked through the front of someone else's yard, and their dog was out. Now, that dog was not on a leash. The dog that they were leading was on a leash, and the dogs got into it. I'm not sure, but I think the dog that they were leading ended up dying. I'm not 100% sure. Well, okay. Well, their dog was put down, the other dog that was in their yard. They had to have that dog put down, but I can't help but wonder if you weren't walking across their front yard and through the church parking lot, I mean, maybe that wouldn't have happened. My concern is, I did send a video with some pictures and stuff earlier. My concern was one of the dogs that they were specifically talking about, which the dog's name I think is Chase. They were talking about its aggression issues and stuff. Part of that video was filmed in my yard, about 20 feet into my yard. So they do not stay like in specific areas, like in the kennel area. It's just not done. There are times when there are 5, 6 people walking dogs in the evenings around the neighborhood. We do not have sidewalks. There's barely room for one car to get through. If the trash truck or the buses are going through, we're all like sitting until, you know, that's finished. I love the fact of what you're doing. However, there are issues, you know, if you're gonna keep the business in your little area, and you do not always know what your workers are doing. You are not with them. You have a lot of younger people. You have people that have been asked to get out of people's yards, and they're like, you know, we don't have.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, please
comments
direct
to the
your
board.
comments to the board. Thank
Yeah,
you.
just say-
We have asked them, you know, please don't do that. Please stay out of the yard. One person told us they brought the dog over by the lawnmower, and I said, you need to take the dog away because the dog's could possibly get hurt, and then is that gonna be my fault? Is it gonna be your fault? And she said, well, that's what we're told to do. It's like a reactionary training. So there have been issues. I have no problem with the business being there. However, it needs to stay in that area and not come out where the rest of us are. I just don't feel like that's okay. My dogs do react, but they're my dogs. They're in, you know, they're staying in our yard. Like I said, I don't care if the business is there, but I think it needs to stay in there. As far as expanding it, if you can't keep the dogs that you have now in there, what are you gonna do with expanding it even further? So I'm just not sure. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I didn't understand the scheduling and stuff that they had presented, but that if what I saw was right, that doesn't go along with what I've seen. Like I said, I don't care if the business is there, but the business needs to stay within that area. I was talking to Lisa Knapp also, and she was telling me that one thing that they did not do for the permit that was granted to the last, to Acme Canine is she said that everything that they talked about and the stipulations and everything that were supposed to be for the business, she said there needs to be a vote on that, and it needs to make sure that everything that is set forth is on record. So, like for instance, if there's only like so many workers or so many cars or so many people, so many dogs, or not walking in a specific area or staying in that area, no matter what it is, I guess it needs to be on record. And then my question is also, if we do this, who is going to be in charge of making sure that all the rules are followed? Who do we come to if there are further issues? Because after June, when all this went down, things have changed. We've barely seen the dogs. I'm not sure if they're in, their area. I think they're being taken to other places, whatever. I don't care. My issues were exactly what I said. But since then, we haven't had that problem. Some of the pictures and stuff that I had sent over, that was after June, and some of the videos and pictures were taken directly off of their website, Facebook and such. But, like I said, I do not care if the business is there, but I'd like it to be kept in that area. And I never want to see dog walkers standing in front of my house because my dogs are barking and, waiting to get those dogs calmed down. That's just not okay. That's disturbing my peace, disturbing the dog's peace. And I get it that I'm one person. I know some other people have issues with it too. But that's not okay.
Ma'am, if I may, because you mentioned the photos and earlier you mentioned the videos. So just so the board is aware, I believe you emailed several videos and photos to staff.
Right.
In order for that information to be reflected in the record, would you like to go through some of those so that way the board has an understanding of when you say there's a video, there's a photo, they know what information you're referring to?
Yes, that's fine. And like I said too, most of the pictures, I was told by Lisa Knapp in particular to make sure that I took pictures and recorded stuff so I would have stuff when I came in. But like I said, at that point, things had kind of slowed down with the people in the area. But a lot of the pictures show that the dogs are walking on the roads. They're sitting on the roads. They're laying in the roads. They're doing training. So it's not just confined.
And I'm so sorry, just because this is, if you can be specific with respect to like the photos that are on the screen, what's going on, that will help with respect to the record.
Okay.
Where do you want to start?
Where should I start at? I don't know what.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to, what road are we
Just
even
go
on?
through them one at a time.
Just go, yeah.
That's just, those pictures, that look similar to that one is dog walkers going down Church Street in front of my house. Like I said, this is after, June, when, the township had gotten involved. That's one of the other dog walkers who had been sitting in front of the church, in front of my house, but, by the time I got up there, she had moved on. It's another dog walker on Church Street. And this is Chase. This is the dog that I was speaking of. That I think there's a video on one of these. I'm not sure if that's it, but it's a video off of their website to talk about his aggression issues. And the video ends in my yard with the dog laying about 20 feet into my yard. That's my yard. And this is videos pulled from their website. Or actually pictures. And these are all just showing that they're not just in that area, in the fenced-in area. These are all in our neighborhood.
Do the residents use the roads in that area to walk their dogs too?
Not to this extent. It's kind of hard also when there are dogs.
Yes, they do.
Excuse me, everyone. Excuse me, everyone.
Yeah.
We also have, in addition to this being a hearing, we have a court reporter here. There can only be one person at a time speaking. The applicant will have the opportunity for rebuttal after public comment is concluded, but thank you. Only one person at a time.
That is the church steps across the street from my house, which they do a lot of training on. And as I was saying before, yes, people do walk their dogs. It's usually not 5, 6 dog trainers at a time walking different dogs. But yes, people do utilize it. I never said that they did not.
Could you clarify for me where you live in relation to their home and business?
I live on the next street over, the back street, which is Church Street.
Yeah.
And where's the
Right.
green?
The green, and then you come down, it's Church Street.
And that distance is about 350 feet from the edge of the properties, 350.
Can you guys remind me how many employees, do you have 5 or 6 employees on staff at any time?
We have 6 total, so that's 3 on a given shift.
So
Okay.
the staff means, that, where we don't get all the jobs.
And I also want,
Did you get that since they weren't at a mic? Okay.
I also wanted to clarify, we're not talking about expanding the business. We're talking about adding employees and continuing the business, correct? Okay.
And renewing the
Okay, but not expanding anything, okay.
And it was my understanding that the employees, or did I misunderstand that the employees leave around 5 or 6? I don't know if I
I
misunderstood.
think
They
she
leave
said
it-
all but one made,
They
all but
leave at
one.
different times, but yeah.
Okay,
So
but,
there's one employee, I think it said from 5 to 9, ish.
Just at the mic.
Yeah, you
It's
should
too
be at
hard
the
to-
mic, and you'll have a minute to do that.
And while you're, ma'am, I just want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. You said that there were a lot of these issues and that you spoke to them in June, and then it sounded like you said that those were no longer an issue.
I have not seen many dog walkers on our street in our area. I really don't pay much attention unless I'm driving down
Okay.
Franklin Street.
So she actually responded to your complaint,
She responded to
and
Orange
there's not a
Township.
problem? Okay,
She did not respond to me. She
Okay.
responded to Orange Township.
okay.
But your issues have been resolved for
Resolved.
the last 3 months?
Yeah, since
2
sometime in June, yeah,
Okay.
July, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure that whatever happens, like I said, I don't care that the dog place is there, that doesn't bother me, I don't have any issues with that, we love dogs too. But I wanna make sure that when the vote's taken, somehow all of this is in writing, and there's some type of, so this doesn't happen again. So do we have all these dogs walking around doing training off of other people's dogs? They don't need to be, like I said, they were in my yard. I can't speak for everyone else. I do know the church, he has asked several times who the dogs, who the people were that were cutting across his lawn with the dogs.
Is he
'Cause
here
they have-
tonight?
He is not. They have kids that play out there almost every night during the summer, so I think that was one of the questions, why he was asking that. But I have not talked to him about that for a while.
So it sounds as though you think there should be conditions if there's an approval, you think that there should be conditions, and what conditions do you think are reasonable to address your issues?
I think there needs to be operating perimeters. I think there needs to be like a limit to how many people are walking dogs, where they're walking dogs at, if they're using other people's dogs to do reactionary training. I don't think that they should be using any of the residents unless they have their permission or their dogs in any way, their yards, anything.
And I don't want to lengthen, I don't mean to ask so many questions, I'm just trying to understand. I don't know what reactionary training is, and I don't know, what were they doing to your dogs? What were they doing on your property, outside your property, that you think was reactionary training?
Well, they specifically told me they were doing reactionary training. One of her workers did, and I knew what they were doing, but I did not know what it was called, but that's what they called it. Because my dogs are barking, they're trying to get their dog not to respond, so they will stay there until they get that dog under control, possibly sit, whatever.
It's, a lot of people call it socializing your dog.
Okay, I'm a cat person, so.
Yeah, it's okay.
So when someone is walking a dog past your property, your dog is out?
Sometimes.
And does your dog react the same to anyone walking a dog past, or just the ones from the facility?
It depends on who the dog is. I mean, there are other dogs in the neighborhood that they don't react to, but it's more the point that they're sitting there using my dogs for the training. That's my issue.
Okay, and it's a public street, so anyone can walk a dog anywhere, right?
Right, but can they sit there in front of our house?
I didn't say that. I was trying to get everything on an even keel.
Right, no, I understand that, but also keep in mind, when you have like multiple dog walkers and stuff walking in the neighborhood, we do not have sidewalks. There's no room for 2 cars to pass. There are issues with that. So, that's,
How is that different than the 3 of us walking our dogs in the neighborhood?
well, hopefully you wouldn't be using my dogs for reactionary training, standing in front of them for 15 to 20 minutes and.
Okay, but just walking the dog is not the issue.
It's the sitting in front.
It's the sitting or interacting between.
Right.
Okay,
Well, like they said, they told me that they were using my dogs for reactionary training. That was their words from one of their workers, which I understand that I knew that's what they were doing. I don't know that I knew that's what it was called.
But they're no longer doing that now?
No, I've barely seen them, so.
okay.
So your concern is that they would start doing it again? It feels like
Right.
everything that what you had an issue with has been resolved.
Yes, but I want to make sure that what I was told by the other board is they told me the rules were not written out and enforced, that needed to be done. Not just, okay, here's your conditional use permit, this is what you're telling us we're gonna do, and we all believe that and know that. Somehow, which I don't know what happened, as far as I know when Acme closed, I know when she moved in, somehow things changed quite a bit. We went from, in the first meeting, there were a lot of rules and stuff that were set up. Sometimes she followed them, sometimes she didn't. But it wasn't this great. It wasn't to this extent. It wasn't a huge burden to have that going on outside your house. Now there are some days where, in the past, where it's been going on like all day long.
So what is it?
Dogs walking, they'll be like in our driveway. Like I said, I showed pictures in our yard.
But this was before June?
This was before June.
Okay, and you mentioned a list of things. Do you have a copy of that list, or what was it?
You referenced multiple things, but I'm only hearing one thing, so I'm just trying to be clear.
A list
on
for what was set aside for the last permit, a list, which list are you speaking about?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, you're referencing multiple things you have issues with, but we're only hearing
No.
you say one.
That was, I just want to make sure that whatever stipulations is set aside for them, if you grant the permit, that those are kept. And what I would like I said, limited interaction with the dogs that are walking through the neighborhood. The dogs obviously go there because they have behavioral issues. I'm not sure why we need to be incorporated into that. Like I said, the one dog in my yard underneath my tree, about 20 feet in, 15 feet in, 20 feet.
Well, I hope you'll understand that we can only set conditions that we can actually have our zoning department enforce. And there are certain things they can enforce and certain things they can't.
So I don't think we can tell them not to use public property. I mean, I'm sure you can tell them they can't be on your property.
Yeah. But how much leeway do we have to write things in? And if those were written in earlier, shouldn't we have a copy of that?
Yeah, that's what I was looking through here, 'cause
So
we,
what I will say is, and we've had this conversation, for
Yeah.
conditional use, if you approve an application and you want a condition in addition, or something that's in addition to that application, you need to include that in your motion. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what you were saying is maybe there were some representations made at the 2007 application that weren't necessarily followed through with, or that type
Right,
of thing?
and there
Okay.
wasn't a motion made, is what I was told, on what the conditions were supposed to be.
So a motion would have been made, because otherwise the application would not have been approved, but but obviously if something is not included as a condition in that motion, then the township doesn't have the ability to enforce. And I know I think earlier we talked about a few possible conditions, and certainly I think, after public comment and after the applicants had an opportunity to discuss, if the board is leaning towards, approval, we can absolutely have a conversation about any potential conditions, lawful, conditions and that type of thing.
When it was approved for the last owner, there were 3 conditions, and they were part of the motion.
Correct.
Would those 3 conditions continue on with this application, or would they have to be restated?
Just to be clear, I'd probably restate them.
what were they?
And just, if I may, I think I know what you're referencing. There was 3 conditions put in the initial application approval. It was 1, the sign be no larger than 6 square feet. The top of the sign be no higher than 4 feet from the finished grade, and there be no outdoor kennels. Those were the 3 conditions put on the conditional use back in 2027.
That's what I was looking for, thank you.
I'm sorry, 2007. And just
In the staff report,
I
it's
think it
under
could-
history of the
correct, and I think it can be handled through different law, but, you know, my clients are willing to stipulate in the approval, they will not go on to private property unless they have permission. I think that kind of goes without saying, but if it needs to be said, we're more than happy to include that.
Yeah.
And part of your employee training.
And
maybe
can I
something
clarify
like that.
with you, Eric? Since there are no sidewalks there and it's a small road, how much of the grass that runs alongside of the road is private property, and how much of it is easement that is for the public to walk in? That'd be a good thing to clarify.
Yeah, I'd have to look
That's a
at
great-
the measurements, since we actually have not taken any of the tools from the auditor's site. And even those tools are not going to be precise, they're going to be approximations.
Well, if you look at what's on there, this is from the auditor's office, right? And you can see the property line is roughly a car's width, which is 8 feet
Into the grass.
into the grass.
So that means people can walk in that piece of grass at the end of your property.
What's further than 8 feet?
Well,
But at least
but
that
I'm
lets us
saying,
know.
you don't own to the well,
To the
technically
road.
you
You
own to
do,
the middle of the
but-
road.
but
But you
people are
don't
allowed
have
to use
access to the first 10 feet or more, because you've got the middle line of the road, you've got the edge of the road, and then you've got where your property easement, or is that the
Easement.
term?
Right of way.
Right of way, thank you. I knew I was screwing that up.
So how many feet is that?
I'm guessing that's
Oh, he's just
15
measuring.
feet.
He's saying 9 feet.
7
Oh.
feet from there to there.
So it is almost 10 feet.
Yeah,
That makes sense. That's about the parking width you were talking about, Jim.
So they have a right to walk their dog on those first 9 feet. and
Or
allow
get
it
off
to
if
lay
there's a
down.
car coming.
yeah.
The
It's-
property line is
And
there.
cars go in that just to pass, because I've been on that road.
Yeah.
There's not room for 2 cars.
I don't think that we can put in the condition that, you know, you can't, people can't walk into your easement. But I'm guessing that they're gonna not be on your property anymore going forward.
Or anyone's property.
Yeah, without permission.
Anything else, ma'am?
No, I think that's all.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh,
We have other audience.
My name is Travis Brown, 1425 Church Street. I've been sworn in. I'm at the other end of Church Street, and dogs may walk through my yard. They walk down the street, cars come down the street. I submit that because you're zoning, we have other businesses back there that have all kind of truck traffic, trailers, cars in and out all the time. For a building that's 2 stories tall that got built, that's not an issue. We have other barking dogs, been barking for 3 years. That the dog warden, the sheriff has been out, they still continue to bark. But their business, not a problem. People walking on the street with their dogs, we got dogs that bark at the rabbits, bark at the, whatever they're barking at.
Yeah.
Why is it an issue? Their training, they may make a mistake, it may go in somebody's yard, they may drop one, they pick it up, that's just the way it works. We've been there a long time too, and even though one of our dogs came from their location. And if there's a mistake made, I'm sure they correct it. But all the dog walking people I've seen, if they walk in the grass, probably because it's a hot day.
Yeah.
And normally they're walking down the street, so they stop. We got more problem with traffic from, like I said, cars flying up and down the street, trucks and pickups and dragging stuff back and forth than we do with dogs.
Okay.
And other than that, they echo everything else as far as being a community and everything else. But whatever the issues that came before to start this whole ball rolling is just non-existent in my book. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I wanted to just make sure that,
Name, address, and you've been sworn in.
sorry, Tiffany Kern, 6229 First Street, Lewis Center, 43035. I have been sworn in. I just wanted to add to the record that there are a lot of pet owners on that street, so I think it would be really hard pressed to say anybody walking around the block was, their business in particular, because I've been there a year and a half, and like I said, I was kind of like, wow, there's a lot of dogs in this neighborhood. But I'm telling you, a lot of them truly are our neighbors, so I'm gonna just kind of walk through that with you. Trent mentioned that he has 5 dogs at his house. The people across the street from me have a dog. The people 2 doors down have a German Shepherd who has gotten out, and so I've personally met that dog and interacted with it. I believe it might, you guys have a dog. Yeah, so they have 2 dogs. Now keep in mind, you saw the streets, this is not a ton of houses, but I'd say probably 50% of the people in the neighborhood have a dog. Heather, who also left about the same time as Trent, she has a dog, and I see her walking her dog. It might even be 100%. Yeah, so, almost everybody on the entire, block or several blocks has a dog. So I think it'd be hard to just pinpoint any pet problems to one particular person or business. And again, I haven't noticed anything, and I want to also add to the record that I'm home pretty much 24/7 because I work from home, as does my husband. So we're there all the time, and so we can kind of take note of these things. And we're porch people, and we're outdoor people, and I'm always out gardening, so I'm always interacting with people as they pass by.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, you guys can't speak unless you're at the podium.
We need you at the podium when you speak.
I mean, in my neighborhood, well, and we used to do foster work, so we had a lot of dogs. It's not uncommon to do reactivity training like that as a regular person, not just a professional.
Anyone
Personally,
else?
I'm not comfortable.
Sorry. No, you're fine. I went over you. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I did want to go into record to state, I don't feel comfortable in making any type of judgment or requirement towards the approval of the conditional use of this application because of whether they're going to throttle and do proper conditional reactionary training with their dogs in their care.
'Cause that's
with other
not
res-
what is-
Correct. And
It's not what's before
it's,
us.
it's what Sue was mentioning earlier. It's our purview and our responsibility to what the zoning department is mandating for our control. It seems, I think frankly, the business owner, hearing those concerns, a deliberate strategy to mitigate it
And training and
and training
communication. Yep.
as a long-term owner and professional respect that I'm hearing from the residents, I think that is sufficient. That it's been heard, it's in public record,
Yes.
and it's just something that can be abated. That's
Yep.
it. It does not need to be regulated through any type of action by our board, frankly. That's my opinion.
Name again.
Sir,
Frederick
name,
Road, 1425 Church Street again.
and you've been sworn in.
I've been sworn in. At the 2007 property change, why didn't the township notify them that it has to be renewed or gone through again?
I cannot,
Yeah, the burden is on the property owner to make sure that their property is in compliance. And it likely was just something that when the sale happened, nobody really thought about.
And
once-
so it wasn't noticed till the complaint?
Correct.
Right, that's the next thing.
yeah.
Probably, I don't know what my word is, but frivolous, I guess, is that the word?
Well, that's a word that you used, yes. I can compare this to the homeowner who sells their house, who built a deck without a permit across lines. And it's the next homeowner's responsibility to fix that issue. Because that homeowner got away with it, if you will.
Right.
So, I can't go backwards in time, although some days I wish I could. All right, thank you. Anyone else from the audience? Yes, ma'am?
Barb Coons, 5497 Catalpa Drive, I've been sworn in. When I said, had a lot of problems with this dog and I brought her to Amy, I'm a little worried it got mischaracterized by something someone else said. My dog was not aggressive. I never saw an aggressive dog there. My dog pulled. I got tendon damage because she wanted to go faster than I could possibly go. She was not aggressive. I've never seen an aggressive dog. I just want to go on record that making sure it was characterized.
That's fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anyone else?
Sorry.
Okay. Applicants, would you like to respond to anything that's been said by the public?
We're happy to walk through those videos and the pictures and explain where those were. They were predominantly on Franklin Street. They're all normal training methods and normal walking dogs around the neighborhood. If it's helpful, we can do that. I don't want to waste your time, right? I can also speak to the dog attack incident. I personally left my work at home day to go get that dog and take them to the vets, and they did survive. And that client still brings their dog to us. And as a small business owner, as any business owner, there's some amount of being dynamic. Things change. You have to adapt. We had to adapt during COVID. We had to adapt when she was in the hospital for a month when we were about to have a baby. A lot of things happen. One of the things that has happened is we don't go on the block of Church Street and Center Street anymore. And we will likely continue to do that, but I'm happy to state on the record that we will respect other people's properties. We will not go on other people's properties unless they've invited us to.
with the dog incident, were there any fines or anything on your part?
In that case, it's public record with the dog.
Public record, that dog was labeled a vicious dog and had to be put down. It's the dog that attacked their dog.
And it,
Okay.
to clarify, it was on public property, where the fight, where the dog got out of their property.
Okay.
And the dog was being.
I just wanted to make sure there was nothing that you were found liable
Also,
or
it's worth
anything.
noting that the employee was walking a 15-pound dog, and it was a 60-pound dog that got up and
Oh.
viciously attacked it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. Good. Do you have anything else?
How are
or
you
are you?
for questions of anyone?
I think I'm good.
You're good.
There's no statute of limitations on when, like, a continuation happens for something like this.
So if the board's ready to make a decision, we can walk through conditions. If you would like, if you are not ready to make a decision tonight, you could continue the application. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I mean, like with the deck situation, like no one's hurt by a deck having to reapply, but like to the attorney's point, like their livelihood is at stake, and like they're getting, they have to now go through all this resubmission out of nowhere. I'm just trying to understand, like that's completely unavoidable with, okay, thank you.
Correct. I understand what you're saying. Even though they should have reapplied many years ago, the fact that they haven't applied until now or reapplied, that doesn't matter. There's no waiver or estoppel. But certainly the fact that it has been operating for quite some time, and the township only recently received a complaint, that is certainly something that the board can take into account when you, if and when you make your decision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was it, thank you.
Okay,
I'm good.
good.
Well, I think it would be appropriate for us to just, when we vote on this, if we vote to approve, that we add back in the 3 conditions that were there previously.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, anybody?
Board, can I ask something
Yes.
as well?
Yes.
Because the applicant at some point, I just want to clarify and make sure that if the will of the board is approval, we just get as much on paper, so we're all good to go. I think the applicant meant, I heard something about grooming, and just want to make sure, and it sounded like that might be something that happens down the line. If that's is that, no?
No, when I said grooming, it was in the context of the whole case law I went through.
Okay, and I thought maybe that she'd mentioned that someone was maybe training for it,
Someone was
but
training,
just want
yeah.
to make sure if you guys wanted that, I was gonna say, let's add that as a condition.
One of my employees, she works at a dog groomer. To clarify, one of my long-term employees, she's decided she wants to pursue a career in dog grooming, and she works at a dog grooming facility. I do not provide dog grooming services, but I'm helping her in the sense of clientele base and things like that. But it's
So you
all-
don't intend to add that to your?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
If they did add that service, is that something they'd have to come back to us?
So what I would say is if you have any possibility or any thought you might want to expand on that, let's get that taken care of today.
And add
so
it
that
in
way,
here.
Is it
Um,
acceptable
Is the permit conditioned to this, like how specific is the use that we're gonna define in the? proposed
Down to
permit?
the knit.
Well,
It says dog kenning and boarding business,
Dog
so
kennel and
we
boarding.
could add grooming to that. Is that what you're saying, Julie?
correct. And the
Yeah.
application itself does reference other ancillary uses and that type of thing, but again, since something specific was referenced, just in the event there were any questions in the future, just trying to, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure type of thing.
I'll take the advice if we're okay with putting that on there, but we
Well,
have
we're
no
not
desire-
giving you advice.
No. We don't have a desire to have a dog grooming focused business, but the reality is dogs get muddy, dogs get washed. I'm not sure where you draw the line. When do they stop being washed and when do they start getting groomed? How
And
big
you
are the
put those
scissors
little
involved?
curlicues in the fur.
This gentleman. Can we take?
Sir, can we take public comment?
I have a question.
Question to whom?
The whole board.
Okay.
Are you, Trevor Crone, 1425 Church Street, been sworn in, are you, if you approve this, is it just a continuation with the 3 stipulations from years ago? Is it to continue as they have been doing for the past, however many years?
That, if we just had those 3 conditions, yes. If we wanted to add something like they could also do dog grooming, then we would put that in at the time we made the motion.
So basically, they could just function like they have been.
Yeah.
If there is no further comment, I'd like to make a motion.
Thank you, sir.
Go.
Based on the factors that we consider and the testimony received this evening, I move to approve case number VACU 2516 for the property located at 1385 Franklin Street, Lewis Center, Ohio, 43035, seeking the continuation of a conditional use from section 7.04A of the Orange Township zoning resolution to allow for the operation of a home occupation, dog kennel, grooming, and boarding business known as Passion for Paws, as outlined in the request above in an area zoned Farm Residential District FR1.
Did you want to make the
Oh, I'm sorry,
The 3.
with the 3 following conditions.
And I'm sorry, you said grooming in there, right?
She did.
I did.
She did.
The sign, number 1, the sign shall be no larger than 6 square feet. Number 2, the top of the sign shall be no higher than 4 feet from the finished grade. And number 3, there shall be no outdoor kennels.
I second.
Motion made by Ms. Ross, seconded by Ms. Neff. Those voting? Mr. Treves?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
And Mr. Totsky?
Yes.
There, this is approved.
Okay.
Still more to go.
Based on, I'll do the
Now,
next one.
we still need to go.
Yeah, I gotta say, that's not all yet.
Based on these factors, in relation to the area variance request, based on these factors, I move to approve case number VACU 2516 for the property located at 1385 Franklin Street, Lewis Center, Ohio area, seeking an area variance from the Orange Township zoning resolution section 7.04A3 for a home occupation known as Passion for Paws, as outlined in the above report, to exceed the maximum allowable business floor area by 600 square feet for a total of 1,200 square feet in an existing 1,200 square foot accessory building in an area zoned Farm Residential District, FR1.
I'll second.
Motion made by Ms. Neff, seconded by Mr. Treves. Those voting? Mr. Treves?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
And Mr. Totsky?
Yes.
Variance is approved.
Okay, based on the factors and testimony received, I move to approve case number VACU 2516 for the property located at 1385 Franklin Street, Lewis Center, Ohio, 43035, seeking an area variance from the Orange Township zoning resolution section 7.04A4 for a home occupation known as Passion for Paws, as outlined in the above report, to exceed the maximum allowable number of non-resident employees by 5 for a total of 8 employees in an area zoned Farm Residential District, FR1.
I'll second.
You got it, Tom.
Motion made by Ms. Ross, seconded by Mr. Treves. Those voting? Mr. Treves?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
And Mr. Totsky?
Yes.
Variance is approved.
And that's the 3.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
And I'd just like to thank you for a very thorough presentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ditto. Well done.
You ever need another business?
It's okay.
All right, well, that's all we have for the new business. We do have 2 minutes for your consideration, and I appreciate several of you did provide me with comments, And-
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. Can you guys go out in the hall? We just have a couple more things. Congratulations.
We have some business yet.
While they make their way to the hallway. So the most, I guess the longest standing of the minutes for your consideration was May. And so again, I appreciate your comments. Several of you provided some light revisions, just a few different grammatical things here and there. So we incorporated those. I want to entertain a motion for approval of May minutes.
I move that we approve the minutes of May 15th, 2025 as amended.
I second.
Okay. Motion made by Ms. Ross, seconded by Mr. Krebs. Those voting, Mr. Krebs?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Yes.
And Mr. Toski?
Abstain.
Minutes are approved. And for June?
I approve the minutes of June 12th, 2025, as amended for approval.
So that was to make a motion?
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Krebs, seconded by Ms. Ross. Those voting, Mr. Krebs?
Yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Mr. Pax?
Yes.
Ms. Neff?
Abstain.
And Mr. Totsky?
Abstain.
Those minutes are approved as amended.
And
I
we
don't have
didn't
any
have
further
July,
items.
right?
We do not have July's yet, so you will be
Yeah.
receiving those shortly. Yes. And that is all I have for business tonight, and unless anyone has anything else for the good of the order, let me put one more plug in for next week, because we don't normally meet in close succession, but we do have our meeting for the code rewrite discussion.
That's right.
Bringing you up to speed, soliciting some more of your input next Thursday at
Invited?
6 o'clock.
Is this guy invited?
So depending
it-
on the need for someone to step in.
Oh, okay,
We
so
may
it-
have all regulars, but
Okay,
we will reach
okay.
out accordingly if that's warranted.
It also
So-
is a public meeting if you'd like to.
Exactly.
Ooh,
So
be
if
on
you're
the
not
other
sure-
side and pepper us with questions.
That'll lead you on.
I move that we adjourn.
All right, so.
I'll second.
We